Well, you mentioned the upper class. So our underclass was just 2027s and 2028s. The upper class is 2026s only. Both events had the same amount of players for the most part. So there was a lot of 2026s there. Um, and a lot of committed players as well. And I love it. We get an updated look at the committed guys, and then at the same time, it's like, okay, they're all in one spot. So you can, some of these guys that aren't committed, you're comparing them to committed guys. You're comparing them to everybody. Who do we like? Okay, is this guy too low? Is this guy too high? Oh man, this guy really made a jump. But we ended the underclass with arms. We'll start the upper class with arms. That's exactly how the event went. The upper class arms came in and threw right away. So, Peter, I'm gonna let you take us away here. And I
Sure.
guess maybe even before that, like it was awesome seeing how many 2024 future gamers were back at this all state stuff, and to not only just see them and say what's up to them, but then to see like the work they've been putting in since that event.
Yeah, I mean, staying on the topic of one, Luke Blackwell. He was a future gamer for us last summer. Val Meyer, still uncommitted, but I thought he had one of the better bullpens on the day for me. I didn't see too many pitchers. I hopped down from hitting when we had a little break, and I was manning him out for a little bit, but he was far and away one of the best I had. He worked 88 or 89 to 90, and I thought it was super heavy through the zone, kind of showing a little bullet slider too, like around the 76, 78 mile an hour range, and then showed good feel for a changeup as well at 81 to 83. And he was just a guy that I remember at the future games, death grip for a handshake, like insane handshake. Really hardworking kid. Definitely a name that we need some love and should hopefully get committed here soon. But moving down, Sam Chin, also uncommitted, a St. Lawrence kid, one of the best movers easily in the state, probably the country as well, just how easy and fluid it is. Looks a lot like Cameron Appenzeller, the way it moves, and obviously he's not 6'6", he's not throwing 95, but man, does it look similar coming through. And he was kind of that guy we were just waiting for to take a jump. He would be around, the low 80s. We had him ranked pretty good. The velo was definitely, pretty like low for where we had him ranked compared to the guys around him. But we're just betting on the fact that it's going to pop, and it looks like it's starting to. He was up to 87 multiple times. Still showing really good spin on the curveball. Was up to about 2,800 RPMs on that with good bite. Was kind of backdooring it to a righty. And the changeup I thought flashed well above average. 77 to 80 with some hard dive. Really sells it clean out of the hand. Everything's moving kind of a different way. He is an arm that people need to get on quick because that he's going to just continue to get better, add strength. He's still nowhere near his ceiling yet, like physically. So, man, that is going to pop sometime soon, and you're going to want to get on that soon if you're a coach.
Well, and what I love about that is like we tweeted him out, and then we're instantly getting hit up that college coaches are interested in him. And that's what it's all about. Like to come to this event, get some attention, and he showed some improved velo, and then guess what? Like college coaches are taking notice as well, and it's the day of, or basically like the next day you're getting blown up about that. Andrew Dawson,
Yeah,
2026 out of Tremont. Gavin, yet
yeah.
another Central Illinois guy.
He's an uncommitted arm, and we haven't talked about him yet. We'll get into it, but Tremont's got a couple arms that were impressive from this event. And yeah, this event, like I remember seeing him in the summer. The velo was mid to upper 80s, and at this event he was 87 to 91, touch 92. And Pete and I were kind of talking to him. I think both you and I were talking to him a little bit up at hitting towards the end of the day, and he was talking about like this is like my third or fourth bullpen that I've really thrown. Like I tried to take a lot of time off after the fall and summer just to kind of give myself a break, which good for him. Like save the arm and have it ready for the spring. And that's what he did. But coming out, only throwing a little bit, and you're up to 92, pretty impressive there. Curveball was sharp at times, and then he had some heavy fade on the changeup. He had high horizontal and low IVB, which is what you're looking for out of a changeup. But
I know you didn't have him on your mound, but he's a guy we're all familiar with. He's been a state gamer. Chase Rhodes, Tremont, another 2026. 6'4", 192 pounds. I had to just make sure I had that right on his profile. But he was on Steve Nielsen's mound. And that was one of the biggest takeaways that Steve had on the day was Chase Rhodes and how good it was. Up to 92. Love the levers, love the stuff, love the makeup. Not enough good things to say about Chase. And like, he was another guy, mid 80s last year at the state games, maybe touching like a 6 or a 7. And I don't even have that in front of me, so feel free to call me out at any time. But like, makes a jump, and I trust Steve when it comes to arms. Like, I trust Steve a lot on that. So I cannot wait to see that video. But it sounds like he is going to be a candidate to jump way up in our rankings. So that was one, like you mentioned. Tremont's got some guys. Griffin Meeker, I know, was at the event as well. He goes to Tremont. Blaine Williams goes to Tremont. So just plenty of talent rolling around. What's that?
It's a 2A team to know. I mean, not a lot of 2A programs have guys throwing 90 like that. So
yes.
But yeah, Drew, the next guy I saw, a name that we haven't seen a ton of, maybe in the last year or so, but right-handed pitcher Gavin Swartz, who is now at Normal Community. He's a 2026 Indiana commit. And at this event, fastball sat in the low 90s consistently, was up to 93. Quality spin on the pitch, 2341 RPM average on that pitch. His curveball is sharp at times. I think he's still looking to probably polish that up and consistently throw it for strikes and repeat it. And then he threw the changeup hard, had some fade to it. But, I mean, transferring to Normal Community, like we've mentioned them quite a few times, but they're gonna have some good arms on that team too with Gavin Swartz over there now.
I was really in on that video, Gav. I thought the video of Gavin Swartz looked really, really good.
Yeah.
When I saw it come through the Twitter.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good pen. We'll have to go see it in game this spring. But and then the next guy, one again, I think maybe a pretty big winner for me that, you know, we kind of heard some things on and he came to the event, was right-handed pitcher Dean Miller out of Glenbrook North. He's a 2026, another uncommitted kid. I don't think I said that, but 6'2", 175-pound frame. Still has some upside in there. Like, it's kind of like a wiry, not entirely wiry, but it's not filled out yet. But the fastball is 85 to 89 out of a lower slot, and it's just kind of like a unique delivery, I would say. He goes over the head, and it's just like an interesting slot, easy mover. And then the slider was 76 to 77. He averaged 25, 36 RPM, and had like sweeping action. And I actually thought the changeup might have been his best. Off speed, it had heavy fade, and it kind of dropped off in the zone. And he showed feel in the lower half with it. But
I saw the breaking ball, Gavin, and I was very in on the breaking ball.
Yeah.
So if the changeup was better, like, he's got a legit 3-pitch mix. Because out of that slot he's coming from, that breaking ball looked like it had crazy amount of sweep to it. And it was something that like a right-handed hitter would have a hard time kind of hanging in the box against. So that's, man, Dean Miller, another guy, you know, huge arrow up. Maybe the biggest arrow up for me just over like the last couple of years, because I know Jack Slidham, Lyons Township, uncommitted. He was a guy that after watching his video at the Illinois State games last year, I was super in on it. And then he comes out, you know, we've been hearing that the velo had been climbing. He comes out, he sits 90-92. He's 6'3", 193 pounds. He looks like he is still extremely young. And you want to talk about dreaming on a player, dreaming on a prospect, you know, trying to figure out a guy's ceiling. Like, you want a guy to look as young as possible. And I mean, Jack Slidham could not fit that mold any better. Like, there is still so much more to come, in my opinion, with him. And then one thing I love about Jack Slidham, we have seen him now for years. And to see his progression, Tyler, you kind of mentioned it earlier on in this call. Like, it is not about how good you are at 13. Like, that is the least most important thing. And the parents out there, yes, okay, it's great to be a decent player and to have, you know, like a future as a baseball player, but just so you guys kind of understand where Jack Slidham came from. In 2022, he was 70 to 72. In 2023, he was 79. In 2024, he went to an event in the winter where he was 82, 84. And then he comes to the to the Illinois State games, excuse me, and he's 84, 87, touching 88. And now in 2025, he's a junior. He's to the point where, hey, this is a huge recruiting year for him. He's been clearly getting after it. I mean, the frame looked really good, really functional strength that he's added on, and now he's 90, 92. So it's that trend that you want to see, and I don't think he is anywhere close to slowing down. So that's really what I had on Jack, and man, a guy that's just climbing up our board and just continuing to climb.
I was just gonna hop right into my next arm. You touched on everything I would have said, or wanted to say on side, and plus you had the history on him.
I mean, I was gonna just mention, we got a future gamer here that you're gonna mention.
Yeah, I mean, Keaton Reinke, another one of my just personal favorites from the day. Wow. I don't know what his future is. He's by all accounts, a heck of a football player as well. I know he's got some big time offers there on the gridiron. He's a wide receiver up there for St. Charles North, but man, on the mound, is it good. Uncommitted right now. Like I said, he's probably still weighing what he wants to do at the next level, and if he can maybe potentially do both, but 6'4", 206, but he really carries that 206 well. Looks like he could even add more weight at the next level. But his fastball was 88 to 89, but he throws strikes. It comes out really good. He moves really, really well. You can tell he is an athlete. The breaking ball peaked with over 2,400 RPMs of spin, but 100% strikes. Again, somebody that big, that athletic, and they're able to repeat and throw strikes like that, man, it's fun to watch. So he was a big winner for me. He also threw in a changeup with, over 12 inches of horizontal movement as well. So 3-pitch mix there. He's likely going to be the ace for St. Charles North this spring. We were just talking about Matt Ritchie earlier. So that Stars team, man, it's going to be a team to watch this spring as well.
That's interesting about the strike percentage for the breaking ball, because I remember at the future games, I forget if it was his first or his second outing.
3-0?
Huh? Yeah, the 3-0.
3-0 count?
He was spraying it. Looked like he was just trying to kind of figure it out, and then it's 3-0, breaking ball, boom. All right, strike one. And that kind of got him back in a rhythm. He started ripping off breaking balls, and then he found it. So he's long had feel for that breaking ball, which is not a lot of kids at that age have that. So that's pretty cool.
One of those where he goes 3-0 breaking ball, and you're like, what's he doing? But then he lands the 3-1 breaking ball for a strike. It's all right, that's just what he needed to get the timing back or something. So that's a great call out, because I remember that as well. Who had Brandon Pels? Because I know he also showed well. Tyler, is
me
that
as
you?
well.
All right, talk to me.
Really polished, true 4-pitch mix, in my opinion. The velo has really ticked up. Again, another guy, and Reinke was in the same boat. This event last year really showed well. So Brandon, another kid who he continues to get better. 4-pitch mix for strikes. He's uncommitted. 6 foot 193, but it's a pretty well proportioned frame. He's a pretty strong kid throughout the frame, and his fastball was 87 to 90, touch to 91. Spun both. He had a curveball and a slider. Spun both of those well. And the changeup had sink and fade as well. So, like I said, polished pen, 4 pitches for strikes, and he goes to Bartlett.
Well, you bring up polished pen, and I think this is the one thing that's really, really impressed us about the next guy. Frank Costable Stevenson 2026. I know last year he blew us away at this event as well, because he was basically sitting low 90s with all kinds of polish. And just at that age to be throwing that velo, but then also be a ton of strikes. And I'm pretty sure he came back and did the same exact thing this year, but with even more velo.
My first time seeing Frank, and oh my gosh, is it nasty. And we're just touching on the pitching. He is a all-around freak. Offensively, defensively, we'll get to all that. But on the mound, like 90 to 94, 83% strikes. Okay, so he's got the velo, but he also can control it. Slider was gross, 2,600 RPMs. Changeup, negative 1.5 inches of IVB. So he can really have that thing dive. And he kind of throws from like a lower slot as well. So like I wouldn't want to face him if I was a hitter. Like there's no way, especially because he can control it. So man, that's just on the mound. I'll let you guys touch on offense and defense, but it was really my first encounter with Frank, and I'm a huge fan after this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him that stands out watching him for me is watch his head when he throws. It does not move at all. The effort level, he's playing catch at 90-94. And then he's also, me and Gav, like, he's an absolute freak. We know he's going to put up an insane number. He was 97 from the outfield last year. We had a little break in hitting. We were like, what do we think his outfield velo was? So we looked really quick in the sheet. It was 99. We looked at each other. We're like, what the absolute, you know what, is this? Like, that's insane.
I'm pretty sure I don't even need to look back to like past years. I'm pretty sure that's the outfield velo record
It
because
has
I
to
don't
be.
remember anybody ever being 99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he was 103 for the exit velo, average 94 with the 388 max distance. I mean, like, the kid's just an absolute freak in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, and he's really fun to watch pitch too. I saw it last spring. Super easy, fills it up. Like, he's just playing catch out there.
Well, and I think that's the coolest thing about it is like he's been I was going to say a 4-year starter, but like he started at Stevenson as a freshman. He was throwing quality innings for them, big innings for them as a freshman. So like he's a performer as well. It's not just, hey, go to a showcase and throw 99 from the outfield, but you don't know what you're doing. Like he's got feel for the game. He plays hard. And he's an integral part for that Stevenson lineup and on the mound. I mentioned like preseason all-state upper class. It's just 2026s. There's a lot more committed guys, at that. And to be honest with you, man, I thought they all showed really, really well. I really thought the committed guys were some of the best players there, which they probably should be. Like they're committed for a reason. Some committed guys from the future games that came back to get in front of us. Nolan Ramley. I mean, what more can we say about him? Like crazy, crazy tools, and then just put on a show in BP and made it look really easy. Had some of the top. He might have had the top exit velocity of the day, but it was like
He did,
108.
yeah.
And ultra easy and ultra physical. And then Jory Crocker, like, just keeps looking more and more impressive. Gavin Michaels, just going through his stat line to see what he did and, like, the average exit velocity he had. But then he also led the event in his 60. And it is, like, I talked about athlete earlier. Like, that is the definition of, like, athlete with sneaky tools that is only going to continue to get better. And what I loved was, like, his max distance was, like, 250 maybe. Like, it might have even been less than that. And I loved it because it told me everything I already knew about him. Like, he is a line drive backspin guy. And that's what he should be. Like, he can flat run. He's dynamic on the bases. Like, he shouldn't be, yeah, maybe he misses one and he gets under one and it goes 330 or something like that. And then you watch the video and it's like his bat is so level through the zone. I loved it. And then you got Johnny Nelson committed to Wright State. Gavin Michaels, he's a normal community guy going to Cincinnati. Sorry if I glanced over that. Jory Crocker, he's at Willowbrook going to Arizona. Nolan Ramley's brother Rice going to Kentucky. Johnny Nelson, OPRF, going to Wright State, just recently committed there. Dylan Kassab going to Indiana. He's at Hinsdale Central. Max Heineman is at Normal Community going to UIC. Man, and then we got Cameron Jenkins, who's one of my favorites. Oswego, he's going to Missouri. And I did that off the top of my head, so if I messed anything
No, you're
up,
right. You're
call
correct.
me
I'm trying to
out.
play that game too. I'm like guessing along with you, but yeah.
Yeah. But then there were some other committed guys there that showed well, and like Dominic Batista was the guy we invited to the future games last year. He's at Oswego East, going to UIC, and man, was he impressive. Like, I love the way he was moving around the outfield. Watch the BP swing, and it's like he only is getting better. His outfield velo had taken a huge jump, I believe. Drew Stevens down there at Normal Community with Max Heineman, like, that's a nice little 1-2 punch they have there behind the plate. He's going to Valpo. I know you guys mentioned how, like, offensively, it just keeps getting better. Put up notable exit velocities. I want to say 102. Ethan Bass, one of the top players in the state, he's committed to Wake Forest out of Glenbrook North. He's got the it factor. He was an All-American invite and participant for us. Addison Latko, he's at a DePaul College Prep going to Illinois. Nick Sitchell, New Trier. He's going to Richmond, and then you got Easton Newman out of Deerfield, and he's going to NIU. And like, man, Easton Newman showed me some big time actions on the infield. So, I wanted to shout them all out. I thought they all showed well. I thought, looking at our grades, they were all towards the top of our sheet. But it's about the uncommitted guys here. Let's get some uncommitted guys some love. Like, who do these coaches still need to know about? I've already, like, just looking at my phone today, I had a couple texts like, hey, I would love to pick your brain on some of these all-state uncommitted guys. So might as well put it out here in podcast form. Some of the biggest winners when it comes to position guys.
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. What's up?
No, I was just gonna say, looking at the list, like the top two are their future gamers from last year, Adam Swanson and Brandon Thompson. So anybody can take them. I mean, Adam Swanson, to me, like I said earlier, I was doing the defensive workout for catchers, and it was the best I've ever seen Adam behind the plate. Like, I give him so much like credit. He's been putting in work. I thought the glove to hand was borderline electric, like really, really quick. And I thought his slot had elevated a little bit. He was getting a little bit truer flight on the throws, and then was losing nothing on the velo. Like, I talk about how quick he was getting rid of it, but he still had 82 from the crouch, was putting it around the bag. Like, just looked like a catcher. I was very in on that. I told him the same thing at the event. And then Brandon Thompson, he's long been one of the top defensive catchers in the state, and I know we really liked it offensively. So yeah, just leading us off there with two catchers.
And both can really run too. Swanson was a 6'7" runner, and Thompson's a 6'9" runner. Like, having a catcher that can move like that, and Swanson, he's like a super versatile guy. Like, we brought him down to the future games, and I don't even know how much did he really catch. Like, we had him in the outfield. We had him kind of all over, He
Totally.
can do a little bit of everything. But no, I thought they both took impressive rounds at BP. Swanson, he's showed well for me in the past, in game, homered for me. Still, showed me that ability to lift throughout BP. He was up to 96 for the EV. Thompson, pretty physical, like sneaky physical. I always get like surprised by how strong he is, just like walking past him. But he was up to 102 miles an hour. And he was working on the barrel as well throughout his round. So, yeah, 2 for sure, uncommitted backstops to know. But I kind of want to get into now Anthony Chavez and Logan Fernandez, 2 Mount Carmel kids. So last year, McQuillan went down kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere, but he missed some time last year for the Caravan. And, one of the best ways to get information on kids, like players, is to ask their peers, ask the kids themselves, because they'll tell you like who's the best player, like who can really hit, who can do this, who's been your best player all year. And it seems like a lot of them were saying Chavi, like he was like their best hitter all year basically. And it is no surprise the numbers he put up. And I guess it was kind of a surprise. We knew he was going to put up great numbers, but he was up to 107 for the EV, to the point where we were like, whoa, is that accurate? And then his next one was like 105, and we're like, all right, yeah, it is. So loud round for him. Yeah, just another kid that all he does is hit for us. Really excited for him. He's going to play a big role in the middle of the Caravan's lineup this year. And then Logan Fernandez, it seems like he's been a big winner every time we've seen him as of late. Ran a 6'6", I believe, but he's been down to a 6'4" in the past. 96 from the outfield, I believe, which is, super loud, super toolsy. And then he's got that long levered, like lean twitch in his right-handed swing. He was up to, I think, 98 miles an hour for the EV. So there's two guys I wanted to call out there really quick, and anyone can add in, fill in wherever.
Well, the Chavez one to me is like a huge, like, hey, kudos to you, like like you clearly are getting after it. I believe he went to something and was like playing for Team Mexico, in the off season as well, like doing his thing there. And I pulled up his profile as you were talking because I just wanted to see kind of the trend he's been on, and he's never cracked triple digits with an exit velocity for us. So for him to make that kind of jump it's borderline like stupid in a good way. So that's a loud number when you start talking like, over 101, 102, then you throw out a 107. We don't see that very often. And it's a left-handed bat. So hey, that is a guy that if he's performing in game with that kind of loud thump off the barrel, like look out, he should draw plenty of attention. And Logan Fernandez, I've long been a fan of him and just kind of watching him come into his own as a baseball player because I think that he still has a long way to go there, but checks off so many boxes. And then another outfielder that caught my eye on the day, there were a couple of them. I thought Cole Latimer from DeKalb was one of the more fluid, natural, dynamic outfielders on the day with Dominic Batista and Patrick Connors, I want to say, all in that same mix. Like Patrick Connors ran a sub 6'7", and he looked all day like a center fielder to me in the defensive workout. I know it's inside, but when you can stand out like inside at the max, doing outfield defense, that speaks volumes. But to me, it was like more the movement patterns for Latimer, the long strides, the levers, and then the way the arm worked. It was exploding out of the hand, gaining all kinds of ground. I also thought there were a number of guys that were interesting. But those definitely stood out to me. And Cole Latimer, definitely one of those guys. Also on here was Clancy Rogers. I know he stood out, just as well with the bat. If you had anything on Clancy.
Yeah, well, Clancy was up to 106 for the EV, so super loud round from him. Yeah, and it was, easy strength, and he works through the zone for a while too, and there's lift. Latimer was up to 104 as well, so I thought they both took really loud rounds. Now, Latimer, that's a guy where, like, talking about the kids, giving you clues on who's the best player, or, like, the best players on the field. At the state games, like, I remember, he was in right field, and the whole dugout of the other team they were playing was like, that dude's a stud. That dude, do not run on that kid when the ball is hit to him because he's going to throw you out. So I thought, yeah, both of them took really loud rounds of BP.
I love that. And then I'm just throwing out a couple more names here. Like Lou Radcliffe was a guy we didn't have a ton on, and I thought he showed well, kind of like made a name for himself. Jalen Valiz, I was doing some infield defense evaluating there at the end of the day, and I thought he showed big time actions, looked really good, and I know he had some good hit grades. And then Andrew Satunis, really good hit grades on the day. I was doing catcher, like he really looked like a catcher back there. I thought a lot of guys, you can get in that rut of like, hey, I want to put up a pop time, and then they start rushing, and they're getting a little out of sync, the arms dragging, throws are going everywhere. Like he looked like a catcher to me. And that's something I'm always looking for as you're, feeding those catchers is like, who's showing you like the proper setup? Like who's got the good glove hand? Who's got the clean glove to hand release? Like that looks like it's going to play in a game when he's rushed and somebody's yelling runner. What's the arm action look like? And then how are those throws playing? Are they playing true? I mean, it's great to have an 82 mile an hour exit velocity, or catcher velocity, but you can be 76, you can be 74 from the crouch, and your arm could play totally fine to where if it's true and it's got carry on it and it's got that four seam, like that can play better than a guy throwing 80 from a lower slot that gets some sink and it makes it hard on a middle infielder to pick the baseball and all that stuff. So just some other guys I wanted to call out there as well, and if anybody had anything, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a mention of Andrew Satunis because I remember liking him at the Illinois State games. And the left-handed bat. And just going back into his profile, I just want to make sure I got this right. At the state games, he averaged 84.5 with his exit velocity. And then at this event, and his max was 89, but then at preseason All-State, he averaged 89 miles an hour with the exit velocity.
Yeah, he's averaging his max from basically 6 months ago. Like, that to me is okay. Yeah, maybe he had an off day at the Illinois State games or something, but like, I'm thinking it's more of this guy put in a ton of work. And I think that's what like is so great about getting updated looks on guys and seeing guys every once in a while and them coming back to events is like not only can you see the tools and what they're doing, but then if you look at the body type can tell you so much about a guy's work ethic. Like who's getting stronger, who's getting more physical, who maybe had a questionable frame and now it's like, holy cow, that's really cut up. Or, Brady Cunningham coming in and just super barrel chested. But unbelievable stuff throughout Saturday, Gavin. Throughout Sunday, I thought there was really good stuff at Joliet as well, like to end our preseason. And I know we'll talk about that next week, but